Hey everybody, me from the end of the video. Here's an app that Claude Code just built for me in about 20 minutes, and then we have deployed it using Vercel. It is online, so anyone in the world can access it. All done in 20 minutes. So let's jump into building the app. I'm going to copy this prompt here. Build me a simple Pomodoro timer. I'd like to eventually deploy it to Vercel, but first let's build it and test it locally. So I'm going to open up Terminal. Let's see. I already have a folder here called Pomodoro. I'll move into that and then open up Claude. Awesome. I'm going to paste my prompt here. Build me a simple Pomodoro timer. Let's see. Super simple to start. Normally, I would probably move Claude into plan mode for doing something like this, but because I don't want Claude to think too hard about this, the main bulk of this tutorial is going to be focusing on deploying using Vercel. I'm just going to let Claude kind of roll here. What approach? Yep, Next.js plus React. I think that's probably the best thing to do for Vercel deployment, so that's great. And we'll let Claude roll here. So it may, yeah, okay, cool. So it's running some of these terminal commands to set up a, to set up a project here for Vercel. And it might fumble around a little bit. That's okay. Claude is really good at trying something and then adjusting as needed. So I'm just gonna, actually gonna Shift Tab to accept, auto accept edits. And I think that should be sufficient. So we will let Claude roll and build all of these things here. Okay, so it looks like Claude finished and now it wants to test it locally. I'm going to go ahead and let it do that. And then we'll see how that goes. So we are running here. Looks like it wants to look at some of the output to make sure it's working. Testing locally. I would like to open this up in Google Chrome and make sure it's working. Claude may be doing some stuff behind the scenes to make sure it's working. Cool. Yep, so here is the server. I can open it up, paste it, and we'll see. Okay, not quite working. That is all right. I'm gonna just take a screenshot here. And then I'm going to go back to Claude. This is what's so great about Claude Code. I'm going to paste the image there. If it fails like that, I can just give it the image and it will just fix it. It might take a time or two to fix it, but it should figure it out real quick. I think there are some MCP tools out there that you can install in Claude so that it can actually inspect the Chrome browser and kind of see it working or not working on its own, and then it can adjust as needed without me having to do that. But look at this. If I flip over here, okay, so that looks like it's working. A little bit ugly. Looks like CSS and stuff hasn't started. Now it did build it very simple. I would hope that it would be a little bit prettier than this though. Cool. Running without errors. It wants to deploy it to Vercel. I'm going to pause it there for a sec. I'm going to go back here, paste this. So it's working, but it isn't very pretty. We're going to see what Claude thinks about that. Tailwind CSS style. So it did try to give it Tailwind CSS. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay, that looks a lot better. I can hit start. It ticks down, pause, reset. Cool. Nice. So it looks like it is working. Next thing that we're going to do is have it deploy to Vercel. Great. So our app is running locally. Now let's have Claude deploy this to Vercel. Great, it is working. Can you please deploy this to Vercel? So I already have the Vercel command line installed, and I already have a Vercel account. So if you don't have a Vercel account, you would probably want to make one before that, and then install the command line tool. Let's see, git init, git add. So this is setting up a git repo here. That's fine. Yeah. So Claude will walk you through the whole process if you don't have anything installed, and it will let you know if you need to install it. And I think Claude can actually install Vercel command line tools all on its own. So let's see here. It is, I think actually this command here was a little bit longer than I thought. And I think what it did is it set up the Git repo, and then it also fired off whatever the command line tool was to push it to Vercel. And it looks like I have a URL here that I can access it. Okay, so this is it says it is deployed to Vercel. So I'm going to check that. So this means that it will be accessible on the World Wide Web to anybody, not just me on my local computer. So to test that, I'm going to open up a new tab, paste this here, and it just logged me in. So let me see. Let me open this up into a. Let me open up a incognito to make sure that all works. Okay, so it wants me to log into Vercel. So I think there is probably a different public-facing app here. I can see it in my dashboard over here. Yep, here's a Pomodoro, and then I think this is probably the URL. So if I click this link, it'll open it up over here. I'm going to copy that and then go back to incognito, paste that. Nice. Okay, cool. So this is accessible on the World Wide Web, which is awesome. Exactly what we wanted. And yeah, it's up and running, which is awesome. So super easy to kind of get this set up. All right. So we have built the app using Claude Code. We have now deployed it using Vercel. Now I want to move into the third part of this tutorial of having Vercel automatically deploy your app whenever you push to Git. And that's pretty exciting because you have basically just automated your deploy process. And so let's jump into that. Okay, so we're in Claude here. I'm going to paste this. I want to get it so I can push to Git and Vercel will automatically deploy. So I'm going to enter, let Claude work on that for a minute. I'll set up automatic deployments by connecting. Cool. So it's going to try and create a Pomodoro GitHub repo. It looks like that name is already taken on my account. Yep, I've already used that. So now it's just going to create Pomodoro timer. Nice. So it's created that GitHub repo. Note, if you don't have the GitHub command line installed, Claude will probably just walk you through installing that. And if you don't have a GitHub account, you're going to have to make one for this to work. Nice. So I've done this. It's going to try to connect this using Vercel Git Connect. I think this is going to fail because you need to have an app installed on GitHub, the Vercel app installed on GitHub, so it can pick up those changes. I don't have that installed on my GitHub account. So let's see, go to your Vercel project. Yeah, so it's going to ask me to do that. Go to your Vercel project and then connect your GitHub repository. Click connect. Okay, cool. Yep, I'm going to go there. Here is our app. Let's see. Settings, Git. And then I'm going to hit GitHub here. Yep, this is my old GitHub repo. Adjust app permissions, and then click here, scroll down, and then Pomodoro timer. That's the one we just added. I'll hit save. Now that's added here. And then don't forget to do this part. Now that you have your connected Git repos, you then have to click connect. So now we can see here, Vercel automatically posts comments and events to keep you up to date. All of these different things. I think this should be sufficient now. So I'll flip back over to Claude and tell Claude that we're done. I just did this. Let's see if it works. Let's look at our app here. Okay, so we have this like red pink gradient. Let's have Claude change this to be green. Can you change the background gradient to be green instead of red, pink? Then push and I'll see if it works. I'm gonna let Claude do that. And meanwhile, I will go back to the project settings here. So here's our app. And then I think if I click on deployments, this is the deployment we made earlier. And so what I expect to happen is when the app, when Claude is done with doing that green gradient, it will push to Git. And I believe we'll get a new row here. Yep, look at that. Git add, yep, so it just pushed. Now, Vercel picked that up via Git and is automatically building it. And then I think it should automatically deploy to the World Wide Web. So we're still building here. It says it's ready. It's green. Let me flip over to that incognito and refresh. Look at that. So it's green and it still works. So that is pretty slick and really powerful too. So there were a couple issues in this whole process, but Claude was able to adjust and help guide me through the process to really make it work. So yeah, I think that's mainly it. Cool. So that is a wrap. Hopefully this was helpful. If you haven't already, you should go to vercel.com and make an account and play around. I think it is amazing to be able to create apps with Claude Code, but it's even more amazing to be able to share them with friends and let them play around with them, and for you to be able to use them yourself. And so from what I found, Vercel is the cheapest and easiest way to do that. It's free, and you can do it with all sorts of different projects. So give it a try and let me know what you think.